Today, we're diving into something really special, the Child Bright Network. It's a Canadian organization that's tackling some of the biggest, most complex challenges in childhood disability, and they're doing it by basically rewriting the rulebook on how research gets done. So let's break down their blueprint for change.
It really all boils down to this one huge question. You know, when you're facing problems that are so widespread they affect families all across the country, where do you even start? How do you create change that's not just a tiny step forward, but a genuine leap?
Well, the answer, and what Child Bright shows us so powerfully, is that you do it by building a network. And I don't just mean a list of contacts. I'm talking about a real, living, breathing web of patients, families, researchers, and doctors all pulling in the same direction.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts. What really makes this network tick? It's all built on one single foundational idea.
And that idea is patient-oriented research. Now, this isn't just some fancy buzzword. It's a complete flip of the script. The old way? Patients are subjects to be studied. This way, they are active, essential partners in the research itself. This simple shift makes sure that the work is laser-focused on the questions and the outcomes that truly matter to the people who are living with these conditions every single day.
But here's the thing. A revolutionary model like this doesn't just happen. You need a whole new generation of researchers who are trained to think this way right from the get-go. And that's exactly where the network's focus on training comes into play.
And I love the language they use here. It's so specific and so important. Partners with lived and living experience. See, it goes way beyond just saying patients. It recognizes that the day-in, day-out expertise you gain from navigating life with a disability is incredibly valuable, and it puts that expertise on the exact same level as a PhD.
And this slide just shows you how they put that philosophy into practice. Their summer studentship program, for example, isn't just about lab skills. It's about building a well-rounded researcher. First, of course, is patient-oriented research, that core idea we just talked about. Second is knowledge mobilization, which is just a way of saying, let's get these findings out of stuffy academic journals and into the hands of people who can use them. Third, implementation science, the nitty-gritty of how you actually make change happen in a real clinic. And finally, it's all grounded in equity, diversity, and inclusion, making sure the work benefits everyone.
All right, so we've got the foundation, we've got the training, but what does the research actually look like on the ground? What's the real-world impact?
Well, the scale of this is pretty incredible. Right now, the network is powering 13 major research projects, and every single one is built on that patient-partnered model, looking at everything from better ways to manage pain to new mental health therapies for kids with brain-based developmental disabilities.
And get this, the ripple effect of this work goes way beyond Canada. Members of Child Bright were recently asked to contribute to a major United Nations report, taking their patient-centered approach to the world stage to fight for human rights.
This slide just sums up the heart of that UN report perfectly. On one side, you have the barrier, a total lack of the right support for kids with disabilities and their families. And on the other, the goal. And it's so simple, yet so profound, making sure these kids and their families can enjoy their basic human rights. It completely reframes the conversation from being about medical needs to being about fundamental rights.
You know, you can do the most groundbreaking research in the world, but if no one knows about it, what's the point? This is another area where this network just gets it.
I mean, just take a look at their events calendar. They're hosting webinars on really deep topics like implementation science, they're holding in-person research days to build those community connections, and they're giving a platform to incredibly important conversations like the one on First Nations journeys in autism care. This is what sharing knowledge really looks like.
So if you're watching this and thinking, wow, this is amazing, how can I be a part of it? Well, the great news is the network makes it really clear that there are ways to jump in and contribute.
And here is a perfect example. This is a funding opportunity from a partner, the Kids Brain Health Network. They are actively looking for new proposals, and the deadline is October 3rd, 2025. This is a direct shot for people to get real funding to put these incredible patient-oriented ideas into practice.
And that brings us full circle, doesn't it? The work of the Child Bright Network makes us ask a different kind of question. It's not just how do we solve these big problems anymore. It's about asking what becomes possible for our kids, for our families, and for the future of science itself when we finally decide to solve them together.